Good morning, everyone. It's Adrian. I'm on the road. But
Hi,
hello.
Hello.
Adrian. Hello,
Hi.
hello.
How are you?
Good.
That's good.
Okay, we're going to gather up a few more people, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just got a message from someone that they have a 2:30 doctor's appointment.
I just want to say hi to Adrian. Adrian, I'm Robert. I'm the new kid on the block.
Hi, Robert. Nice to meet you.
Likewise, likewise.
I'd like to catch up on what you're doing and see if maybe you want to work for us in New York. I don't know.
What's that, at $11.99?
Yeah, well, we're $11.99. It's a training and employment fund.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly the union, but it has the union benefits.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it is. It's a good place for me to have landed up.
Yeah. Well, I kind of just been putting out some feelers out there. Like I said, I wanted to take some time to just like regroup and whatnot.
Right.
But pretty soon, you know how I am. I just can't be still long enough.
Right. You'll be doing something.
Long enough. So I've been inquiring about some harm reduction position in the DHS. And of course, Samaritan Village. Remember, I had worked with Samaritan Village for a while. I was in the DUI courts with them.
Oh.
Yeah, recruiting individuals who were sentenced for DUIs and that they needed to complete certain DUI programs to present to the court that they completed these programs as a stipulation or part of their sentencing. So I would recruit them right out of the court and get them into the outpatient program component of Samaritan Village, where they would take these classes and these courses on DUI prevention and driving under the influence and whatnot, and complete the course, and then get a certificate to bring back to the court as a completion of that part of their sentencing.
Well, I'm hoping you'll give some of your wisdom learned from all these projects to our vaccine ambassadors about how to engage people in the street or in informal settings.
Yeah, but that's what we're going to try to figure out in these sessions here. Like I was saying to Ruth, approaching individuals or just out in the open for.
Well, some of the ambassadors have done very well with that.
Okay.
But I think that they can benefit from additional work. But you'll see as you give the session, they'll chime in and tell you what they've, the kind of things they've already done and the things that they'd like help doing.
Yeah.
Got a work phone here somewhere that somebody just binged.
Did you ever broach on the topic of some type of incentive or anything like that?
I don't know that it'll work because I don't know that this grant has enough in it to do that.
Okay.
But I broached it, but I haven't gotten any good feedback on it yet.
From experience, it's always easier to get attention
when you're giving something away.
Yeah, when something's in the pot for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hear how they've been doing. Have they been already approaching individuals? Has the study officially been started?
It's not exactly a study. It's more like a pilot project to show that we can do this. And they are doing it. And there's some great stories.
Right. Good. I was going to say, Adrian, Gwen, and Daphne have been really deep into it for quite some time. I've got some new people coming on board, but they don't seem to be able to come today. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Well, Ruth, I'm going to leave it to you to decide when to get started.
Yeah, I'm going to say, at any point in time, these women made it a point to be here. And I would say now, if it's okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just to start, for people who didn't get a chance to meet Robert, this is Robert Quiles, who I've worked with many times and in the field of outreach. And Robert knows a lot about it. And I know some of you have been doing a lot of outreach. And I think you can have a very productive training session and discussion about best methods of encountering people and engaging them basically in the street or at an event, but not in an especially organized setting, in a community setting. So that's my little intro.
Okay, if we could just maybe for myself, just to get an idea on how the ambassadors, as you call them, approach individuals in the community and how they go about initiating a conversation, as opposed to the way we would hear of New York. New York, it was always we would stop them and we would ask them, we would introduce ourselves. Hi, please forgive me, I'm kind of recovering a little bit from a COVID issue myself. So we would kindly introduce ourselves. My name is so and so. I work with so and so. We would flash ID cards. We felt that by showing them the ID cards, they would respond more positive, knowing that we were connected to something solid, as opposed to just being somebody in the street who's just approaching them. We always tried to keep it real simple. The language we tried to use language that was comfortable within our community. I say our community because I come from those communities that we work in, right? And we tried to stress it to them that we're not from a different class, a different area, different sites. That we're also community people who live and work in our own communities and are aware of the situations and problems and health concerns that there are in the community, because we face those same concerns also, because we live in these specific communities ourselves. And once the introduction was done, then we would proceed, because we were doing recruiting mainly for studies, where interviews would be required, and information that would make them eligible, inclusion or exclusion, information that they would prepare them to see if they qualified for the study or being part of that study. But this being a little different, but we would always start with basic information on the study and whatnot, to try just to pique their information. Like, for instance, we worked on some methadone studies, and we would ask them, if they knew about the crisis of substance abuse in our communities, and if they knew about any type of treatment programs that were viable in our communities, whether they would be detox programs, whether it would be harm reduction programs, whether there would be methadone programs. And if they say yes to any of those things, then we would just proceed. Have you practiced any of the harm reduction methods that you've learned? Have you ever been on a methadone program? Do you know anybody who's been on a methadone program? What do you think about methadone as as a viable asset to help combat addiction and so forth. And then to open them up, if they were in a methadone program, are you still in a methadone program? No. But did you drop out? Were you thrown out of the program? And just to lead them into the recruitment point of the methadone. How can we engage them, perhaps to uh, open them up again to the possibility of getting back on a methadone program, as opposed to just being out there in the street injecting heroin or going crazy doing drugs. Right? So this way, we kept it very informal, like, on us and on the community and whatnot. And that was just the methadone, and we would also provide, information on other health concerns that may be in the community. Do you think that diabetes would be a major concern in our community? Do you think respiratory illnesses like maybe asthma and pneumonia and heart disease, with these things be something that we're facing in the community? You think they're very problematic in the communities that we live in? Do you know anybody who's perhaps has any problems with these particular illnesses and so forth? Just to generate yes or no responses from them, so we can get a feeling on how to make an entrance into the conversation where we can lead them to what we were basically there for. So, in this case, knowing that, for instance, that the flu and COVID have symptoms that are pretty much similar to each other at the onset, we would interject the following illnesses like diabetes, heart disease, heart condition, asthma, obesity, as symptoms that would complicate the infection with the flu or the infection with COVID, that it would actually make it worse, and that the COVID would feed on these particular illnesses to increase the symptoms and make it worse on the individual who got infected. This is not something that we've done in the past. Well, not we, I say that I've done in the past, but just to open the door for conversations. This is the way I would think I would follow through. I would like to hear, because you've been doing it a little bit now. They say you've been doing it, so I would like to hear, your approaches to it, and then how I could maybe tweak on those approaches, or how maybe they could increase my knowledge on developing other methods that you can use to approach the individuals and pique their interest, and perhaps listening to the conversation that would ultimately lead to the vaccination process.
Robert, Gwen has her hand raised. So Gwen, why don't you take the floor?
Yeah.
So it's nice meeting you, Robert.
Thank you. You too.
So I pretty much do outreach anyways. I'm a part of the Massachusetts Poor People's Campaign, and that's what I do. I'm on the outreach committee. So I'm also 1199 SEI union member. So I've been told, by my organizer, when we engage with someone, we call it agitate. And that's just what you're saying, to get someone to open up, to see where they're at. And it's all in your approach with the conversation. It's just like now, I'm in the middle of, we're doing a march on Saturday, the 15th. It's nationally done throughout throughout 40 states with the Poor People's Campaign. And right now I'm in the process of, I've done it. I'm just waiting for them to scan me the permit. Because of the outreach work I do. So I had to call City Hall, go to 311, get the permit for the entertainment for one day, for us to do this march. It's important for us to have the permit. So it's all about agitating, getting to engaging, getting the right language and the approach. And it's the same thing with being an ambassador. It's not just all about COVID. It's about the resources that we know, letting people know about the resources in the community. Like, hi, Robert, how are you? My name is Gwen. If we're at a community event, hi, Robert, how are you? My name is Gwen. How are you enjoying the festival? Like, for instance, Saturday, they're having the Indonesian festival in Copley Square. So I met you, Robert. Hi, Robert. How are you? My name is Gwen. Are you enjoying the festival? And get the person to open up that way. What do you think about the weather today? It's pretty nice. Today's a nice day, considering we haven't had a chance to get out due to COVID, and so forth. And by the way, what do you think about the vaccine? So engaging like that, getting people to open up. So that's what we call it. We call it agitating. So, again, it's like I had like 2 days to get this permit. So me being the person I am, I got it done. I got it done in 2 days. I'm just waiting for them to scan me the permit so we can do the walk. Unfortunately, we have to have it so that we can walk from Copley Square to Symphony Hall. So it's all about your language, your approach, and having the right tools. Like I was telling Ruth and them last week, instead of the first couple of times I went out, I wasn't organized. But what I did is that I stapled all my literature together. So when I get ready to approach a person, I have everything at hand so that I can show them. So I'm not just talking and fumbling, but I'm talking and presenting my research and resources that they can use all at the same time. So yeah.
That was an item I was going to touch on next, like handing out literature and just making them aware that our ultimate goal, of course, is to bring them to the COVID vaccination stage, but also addressing other health concerns they may have and how we can maybe help address or refer them to resources that could maybe assist them with those other health concerns. If not for themselves, then maybe, interjecting, like maybe if you have friends or if you have family members who are dealing with these type of issues, you can be that resource person for them to help open them up to being part of the process that we are in, so they could if we reach them, and then they could try to reach other individuals in the community, family members and friends, and this way expand our message at the same time. And having literature on various illnesses in the community, and resources that they may need, and knowing how to access those resources.
Well, Robert, I just want to say that Ruth has been working with the ambassadors as a group to assemble a resource list, and not just for health, because as we were talking last time, some of the biggest concerns that people have are for our housing and food and all kinds of other things that people may need in the community. And so our ambassadors are very smart, and they know the best lists and the best place to get on for housing and the best places to go. So but I think the issue is seeing how many people we can reach. And they do have an encounter form, which is similar to any encounter form that we would have for a research project. And we're hoping tomorrow get it together to get it onto a tablet so that they can have it electronically.
Right, because we don't want to deter no one. When you start talking about the COVID and the vaccine, there's so many people that sometimes are reluctant on taking it. So we don't want to push them away on just coming right forward about the vaccine. So what we've been doing, because of, we live here in the community. I live in Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. These are the inner cities where COVID is really still on the rise. So I don't want to just bring someone to the point about just talking about COVID. I want to get their attention on talking about other resources that they need too, about day care, about where food pantries are, about good healthy foods. I was saying last week that we have they have a culinary class at the Kroc Center where they can do and take culinary classes just to see how to eat better for nutritionist reasons, and that's all a part of the health reasons. So that's how we approach it too. So it's not just about the vaccine.
Yeah, well, what I was aiming at is the same thing that you're discussing on opening up these conversations around all these other areas, which apparently you're doing, that will ultimately lead to the COVID vaccine conversation, right? Or the flu vaccine. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of individuals are more familiar with the flu vaccine because at some point in time they may have gotten it or know other people who
Right.
have gotten it, as
Right.
opposed to other people who have never gotten the COVID vaccine. So there's really
Right.
like no real
Right.
deep information on that, you know, and
Right.
making them aware that getting the flu, you know, the symptoms of sometimes they mirror the symptoms of COVID. And
Mm-hmm.
because those are the symptoms that they're familiar with, they may turn
Mm-hmm.
around and think that, oh, I'm getting a bad case of the flu when actually
Mm-hmm.
an infection with COVID is taking
Mm-hmm.
place.
It's just like how you mentioned about the methadone clinic. Now, all of us aren't experienced with those type of things. Now, for me, for instance, I had an aunt that was on the methadone clinic on the methadone program, but she had to go every day just so that she can be able to function because of
Yeah.
her addiction to heroin. So if someone I can relate to talking to someone about the methadone clinic. I've been there through the whole process with my aunt. Unfortunately, she passed away, but I I can address and and talk to someone more about an addiction. I used to go to her meetings with her over at Shattuck. Um, like I said, she used to have to do the methadone clinic every day just for her to be able to function. She had to do that clinic, and
Same here.
she did the whole complete 360, changed her life around. But as unfortunately, sometimes the way we live our lives is what happened in the long run. But anyway, so yeah, it's just important to know a lot of these tools and how to approach people. But the main thing is the way we approach people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, it was always, excuse me, and the approaches, it's always doing my best to keep it simple, you know, to try to get them to educate me as opposed to me trying to educate them. You know, getting their knowledge on it, and then maybe how I could just give them a little bit of information that could increase their knowledge also. You know, about other concerns that may be going on in our community. You know, like especially addiction. When we're talking about addiction, like it's not always the actual the actual drug use that gets you in problems, as opposed to the lifestyle that creates more problems. You know, it could get you involved in a lot of illegal activities, and it's not just the drug itself that puts you in harm's way, as opposed to the way you live your life because of that drug or because of the drugs. But these are just conversations that I try to just open the door and let them talk, because what I want to do is allow them to have their say so they could be comfortable and just opening up and opening up and opening up, where we create a conversation between us where they feel comfortable with me, and they're willing to open up. Just continue to talk, and as we take in those conversations, we start to evaluate where the individual is at and what they may be open to, what they may not be open to.
Can we hear from Adrian or Daphne about some of your experiences? Because you've mentioned them in other sessions about how you've engaged people in the street or some
Me,
or
I'm just friendly. I smile. I'm a people person. And I always pretty much have my clipboard and I have my introductory, because I do believe in what we do. I believe in being able to give a card or give something to identify ourselves. And, I said this word to Ruth in a message yesterday. I'm like big on professionalism, so that's really just my professionalism. But I'm just friendly. I'm just that outgoing kind of person. So that's how I engage the conversation. Really, I come at you as a friend, but I let you know this is actually my job. And I
Yes.
love what I do. It's all about helping people, and then I ask, so what might you need in the community? How are you doing? Do you have children? Those kind of questions, and just engage like that pretty much is how I address it. And I must agree. And Gwen and I always say, I mean, she and I mirror each other a lot, and listening to everything she just said, those are the things that we discuss once we engage you. That's what we discuss. And I'll have the person, because I try to make sure I get the little forms filled out on the clipboard, you know so I'll ask, if you don't mind, will you fill this out for me? And I don't get too many people that mind, because again, you're kind of looking at me and engaging with me as a friend at that point. But in saying that Gwen and I mirror each other so much, I too have had an aunt that I've had to work with, and I had to go through the methadone program. She too has passed away now, you know, but I have that kind of knowledge as well to be able to bring to the table, and to be able to, coach or help, or, lead, guide to where you can go to get help. A lot of times I'm dealing with people with diabetes is what I'm finding a lot of. And, so I know where to
Big
be
item.
able to send people
Right.
to actually get the help that they need. So
Right.
yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Right, right, and it's being, like Adrian was saying, it's being humble too. Like I do the
Very.
same thing. Do you mind filling out this form for me? Not well, could you fill this form out? Do you mind filling this form out for me?
Yes.
It's the way we approach them. And some, it works. It works because people are so very reluctant, in filling out forms, especially when it comes to certain things, sharing their information, giving their email, giving their phone number. So, it's really all in your approach, and just continuing to be yourself and being humble.
Yeah. Well, it's always it's always important for me when I was out there doing this to make it a two-way street. You know what I mean? Like it can I get your permission? Do I have your permission? Ask of me what you need, and I'll let you know what I can do, what I cannot do. Just to let them know that I'm not there as the almighty person, but I'm there as they are. I'm also in a learning process. That they're teaching me as much as I hope to be teaching them. Tried to make this a back and forth situation. On what they know about what's going on in the community, what agencies perhaps in the community provide a particular service that they're aware of. Sometimes I would get information back from them about agencies that I personally didn't even know were there providing these kinds of services, and allowed me to gather information on these agencies, to go back and get information so I can include them also in my resource list. And I had no problem saying, wow, I wasn't aware of that. Thanks for making me aware that. I didn't know that this agency was doing this in the community, or that you had other studies that were currently following up on similar issues like I'm following up. Maybe we could help each other and coordinate on how we can best address these issues together, and work as a team with other outreach components in the community. In this way, I got information on other agencies that were doing things that would benefit me, but that I wasn't necessarily looking to include in my outreach component to the individuals for a particular thing I was recruiting for.
Could I ask,
That's like this.
maybe Darlene or Daphne could give us a little bit of just tell us a little bit about some of your community encounters and how they've gone, or what techniques you use.
That one more time, please. Hello?
Hi.
A little low, Daphne.
Yeah, 1 second.
Well, while Daphne is, we're waiting to hear from Daphne. I just wanted to share that a couple of weeks back we had this community event called Open Streets, and I met these two wonderful women. One lady's name is Ashley. Can't think of her last name, but she's from the Girl Scout. So she asked me to come and talk to some of the girls about the vaccine. So I'm going to use what little bit I have to try to collaborate with her and go and talk to our little young people about why it's important to take the vaccine. And do the best I can and pray that I do well.
Well, that's great.
So I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed. And, I have $11.99 to coach me, in doing that. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that. But this is us going out doing the outreach and the work that we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And talking about the vaccine, I mean, it's not like any of us have 100% knowledge on this thing here. This is like, this is like a couple of years. It took 30, 40 years to get a handle on HIV
Right.
and hepatitis and things of that nature. And we're only like 2 years into this here, and people are still getting caught up in this and getting hit by COVID big time, especially in our communities. The Black and brown communities are like really hurting with this COVID stuff. You know what I mean? And not being able to identify symptoms from one illness to another illness, and they just minimize its effect. Like I was saying with the flu and with the COVID, they get the COVID, then they got a bad case of flu. And it isn't until they get very sick that they go into the hospital that they discovered it wasn't the flu. It was a serious case of COVID.
Daphne, can you? Oh, great.
Oh, yeah. So I'm really committed to what I've done because work that help save the lives of people and people we don't have information about vaccine.
You're fading in and out. Can you be closer to the microphone of the computer or the phone or whatever you're on?
Give me one.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
Right.
Okay, do you hear me now?
Yes, very good.
Okay, so let me do it again. So I said I'm really committed to what I've done because it's very important work that saves the lives of people and people who don't have information about the COVID vaccine. So the best thing I do, so all in my community, the Haitian community, the all women, men and women, so they don't have any idea about COVID-19. So when I try to explain why the vaccine is
You froze.
Your audio is bad, honey.
You froze for a second.
Yeah.
You unfreeze. The best medium.
empty in the. Do you hear me? It,
Daphne, you froze again.
again?
Yeah. And when you speak, please speak close to, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, but
Again, I'm assuming that sometimes your internet fades in and out.
my oh
Is there a radio on or TV on, anything like that next to you?
no, only my laptop.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Darlene, could you also, for the moment, Daphne, until we can try to get your sound better, Darlene, could you talk about what you do and your methodology, and then we'll go back and we'll try with Daphne again?
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
what I do, if I'm at the supermarket or any place in the community, I will just approach the people and start talking about vaccination, the COVID, and we start having like a normal conversation. If just like they will just come and tell you, I don't want the vaccination. This is why I don't want the vaccination. And you can just better approach them. It's not, I'm not only here to talk about the vaccination. There's other things in the community, like if you have kids, or if you're looking for housing, or if you're looking for become a U.S. citizen, which I have other informations. And then I will invite them to a group, and then we'll talk. There were time I had like 3 people who will never in their lives wanted to get the COVID vaccine. Now 2 of them get vaccinated. So I met with them like I think 4 or 5 times at the library, and it wasn't just about COVID. There was a point of time that I talked about COVID vaccine, but I wasn't like really pay attention how she comes to realize, and every time she comes she have to wear her mask, and then I approach her with other things that we were doing, a healthy conversation, and if I come early, I'll try to go to Dunkin' Donut and get a few donuts, and we sit down. It's usually more like women, and then we have multiple conversation. Then after that, and couple of them just come and say, I just get my first shot, you know? So I was like, it was very positive. And Tuesday, I went by a market in Mattapan Square. I just found out there's another organization that does the vaccination right in there. Okay, so but they're not there like every Tuesday. I think once a month on Tuesday. That's when and then I asked the ladies if I can be next to them and for like a couple hours, and I grab a seat and I do the job first. I approach these people first and I guide them. I ask them what do they need, what the information that they're gonna need from these people. And at the same time, I have my form and I fill my form and guide them to to them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically, what I'm hearing is, the outreach methods, and this is where in Connecticut.
No,
Boston.
People in Boston.
In Boston. The outreach methods, whether they be in New York or they be in Boston, they appear to be universal. I mean, especially when we're working in our own communities, nobody knows our own communities better than those of us who live in the communities and have to deal with the everyday issues that the community faces. From what I'm hearing from the ambassadors is, if I was in Boston, I would probably be using the same methods that I use in New York, and I believe they would be just as effective in Boston. And what I'm hearing is anybody from Boston could come up here to New York City, to East Harlem or Central Harlem or East New York, Brooklyn, and do some outreach, and you would probably fit right in just like you would hear all the time. Because it sounds like your methods are universal in reaching the community. We all have like the same ideas on how to approach a particular situation. We want to get to know the individual first. It's not about approaching them to get vaccinated. We want to work on developing a history of maybe any health concerns, any social concerns that they may have that will ultimately lead to the confidence where we can start to approach the vaccinations. You know what I mean? Because people are getting vaccinated for pneumonia on a regular basis. People get vaccinated for hepatitis. People get vaccinated for flu on a yearly basis. So they are familiar with vaccinations. It's just the topic that COVID is so new and it's so frightful. It's like when HIV first came out. Like there was no medication. We didn't know what to do with it. We didn't know what to do with it. So finally, when we started to approach individuals to take the medications that were first coming out on the market, like AZT, for example, which turned out to be very toxic to the individuals who were HIV positive in the beginning. It showed that the cure was worse than the disease taking this medication, right? Just like taking interferon for hepatitis C. The cure, helping you get better, made you feel so shitty, in the process, right? So because we had no real knowledge around COVID, it's hard to start to address this thing right away. So my approach is like I'm sounding like your approach is figuring out ways to get the information I need that can soften the impact when I turn around and start asking about vaccinations. I know you got that. Have you ever got a vaccination for this? Have you ever got a vaccination for that? Some symptoms mirror other symptoms, and we don't know which disease we have. So in order to prevent getting COVID, for example, which we know very little about, this is the information that we could give you about COVID vaccination and how do you think the community would react to COVID vaccinations? Getting vaccinated for COVID has a lot of its benefits. It helps us in case we do catch it to turn around and maybe not get so sick from its original impact. And not only that, getting sick and not knowing that you have COVID and bringing it, like Daphne was saying, bringing it home to the older generation or to the children and whatnot, because it's so contagious, we pass it from one to the other, and making them aware at that point in time that this is what can possibly happen. I mean, we're aware that it happens with hepatitis. We're aware that it happens with HIV. We're aware that it happens with the flu, but making them aware that this definitely does happen with the COVID, and how we can begin to first approach this conversation. But to get there, it's like we got to really dig deep and develop some kind of connection, some kind of history with the community, that the individuals that we're trying to reach, where we can just approach this topic without them having to back up completely and say, no, I don't want no COVID, because they've heard so much negative information about COVID that they're already predetermined. They've already made up their mind. I don't want no damn COVID vaccination.
Let me see, Daphne. Do you think are you on a good Wi-Fi now? Is it you got good signal? Okay, so talk a little about your methods, and then maybe Robert, you can kind of lead us on follow-up and how people have been following up, because several people have talked about seeing people again and the next time. Darlene was talking about that, and I think Daphne may talk about that too. So I think that can be our topic after Daphne speaks.
Yeah. So that's what I said. So really commitment to 100%. What I've done since, it's important job that helps save people lives and who don't have information about the COVID vaccine. So I try to integrate myself as much as possible, especially in the Haitian community, as I have helped many elderly people who had no information on the vaccine. Now, many of them are fully vaccinated, and I hope to do a lot more, because helping people to stay alive, it's the most thing I can do. So try to help them, because many of them too no have any idea about about to get myself your cut myself to get some any the way to try to get a food pantry to so I have as much as I can to try the research the try to have many information like an internet to try what can I help them.
But just give an example, which you've given before, about how you were able to engage with the people and
Exactly.
educate them.
Yeah, I remember 2 or 3 weeks ago, I have four people's all women, so they don't have opportunity to get a vaccine. So I'm really engaged to drop them to go and Boston Medical to get one first and second dose. So now they full vaccinated, though they waiting to get a booster. Yeah, that's the best thing I do. So
But
I'm really proud of me.
I am too. We all are. But one of the things that struck me was when you told us, I think last week or the week before that, the people who you were talking to had no real accurate sources of information because they're in the US where most things are in English and they know no English.
Exactly.
So they're
Yeah.
kind of cut off from all kinds of information that's floating around, and all they have is word of mouth. And
Yes.
you were able to bring accurate information. And once they had the accurate information, they acted on it.
So the best thing, so they have more difficulty to have information for other language. But when I explain, and my native language is a Haitian Creole, so they really understand what the most what is the most risks they have.
Well, you also explained that your pastor was kind enough to let you speak in church, which is very, very helpful.
Exactly. So I have shared at Roxbury, so I have a friend invite me. So when I came here, so I have many old of people. They don't they have information. So if they vaccinated, they gonna die. That's why they told me. So that's the bad information they have. So when I explain, that's really when you get a vaccine, you save yourself alive, you save your family and others. So a lot of them so now get full vaccinated.
So it's overcoming misinformation that kind of floats around in all kinds of communities, not just yours, but you're dealing with yours, but we all hear those things. And it's kind of up to us to do exactly what you do. But most of us don't get to do it standing in church. But so that's, it's really excellent.
That's really an important part of the outreach we do in the community. Having
the
people.
Problem, sorry, Robert. So the problem they have the problem language.
Yeah. It's not only in your community, in my community too. I dealt a lot with the Spanish speaking, right? And for some reason or other, the information that was being conveyed to the Spanish speaking population that we were recruiting or doing outreach to was lost in the interpretation. The information wasn't interpreted right from one language to the other language. So they developed misconceptions all this is what I heard. It's not what you heard. This is what was say interpreted to you. It's not the actual thing. So being able to convey the message exactly the way it is into another language, because language can be tricky when you're saying something in English and you change it over to Spanish or you change it over to Creole. Sometimes it loses the exact meaning of what you're trying to say.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. Now, let me ask you now, with something like that, or in a situation like that, what do we do? Because we run across people like that, and I have, and you can't speak the language. I mean, I can still pass out the literature, but it's good to have the literature in different languages because we do run across those barriers. It's just like most of you guys know that I work for Massachusetts Association for the Blind. And unfortunately, Ruth, I'm going to have to get off at 2. We have a Zoom at my job because we have a new resident coming who only speaks Creole. So we have to, and I'll get back on afterwards. But we have this new woman has come into the group home, and she only speaks Creole. So they suggested that we use cue cards for her. In her languages. So for me, the shift that I work is going to be very hard because I don't know Creole. So those cue cards would be very important for me where I don't know how to speak Creole. So what do we do in a situation like that? I mean, besides us researching the different languages, because it would be good to have it in Creole and French and Polynesian, Spanish, whatever language we can get, Vietnamese, Chinese, so it would be very important for us to get the literature in those different languages, like we did when we went out that day to the park and we had the flyers in different languages. That's so helpful. But if we're on our own out in the field and we're running across just talking to people, it's hard, and that's one less person that we have a chance to explain to about the vaccine or
Well,
resources.
if I could interject there, I believe I sent everyone some copies of new flyers, which are, in fact, in just one-liners, not a whole big bunch.
Yeah.
I must say, just for purposes of getting by, because I don't know Haitian Creole either, other than very rudimentary, conversation. Hey, how are you? Hello. But I always try with Google Translate, which isn't the best. I'm not going to say it is, but mass.gov and the CDC also have some great flyers. Now, I can research that myself. I can send them to you. Now, and that's one of the things I've always asked. I can put them in an envelope and mail them so that you physically have them, not just looking at them and saying, gee, I like them or I don't like them.
Right.
Because I've made one for each, children from 6 months to 4 years old, from 5 to 11, from 12 to 17 and 18 and up. So, that's something. But really, and I've instructed other people, even teachers that I've worked with, use Google Translate. It's better than not having anything. Okay.
Also, it may be that, but we have to check it out, Ruth, that this, or any of you, that the CDC may have these already created in different languages.
They do have them. They do have them. They're very wordy.
Yeah, that is a big problem. People
do
not read those things with many, many words.
Yeah.
And so that's why Ruth has taken the time to have things with few words. So when you use the ones that Ruth has, you'll see if they're what you need for the people you're encountering.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Marge, at all, but I do want to say also, if they speak French, and some Haitian people do not speak French well, but some do. And I always say, again, do you speak French? Parlez-vous français? That's simple, even for us. And honestly, I think with having both Daphne and Darlene, who are Haitian Creole speakers, that they could really help us do something very simple in the way of a flyer to educate people. What do you think, Darlene and Daphne? Do you
Okay.
agree with that?
I had a few people that I meet.
Yeah.
They speak Haitian Creole very well, but they speak Creole, but they don't know how to write Creole. They don't know how to read
Read
Creole.
Creole, right,
So
right.
you gotta meet with them, and depending on their education level, so you gotta meet them at their level. To better help them,
But Darlene, what she's saying that suppose I come across someone who speaks that language, I don't know how to speak it. That's what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So we're asking you and Daphne to help us kind of implement some type of flyer so that we can have. So if I run across someone who's Haitian and who speaks Haitian Creole, I can present that flyer to them because I don't know how to speak it. That's what I'm saying.
I have a website, but I'll send it to you.
Okay.
They have a free interpreters you can request. So you can schedule at that time, they can help you. But the
That's
card,
wonderful.
it's not, I don't think the card, if it's an old person, I don't think it's gonna help.
A flyer, yeah, okay.
Yeah, a flyer. I mean, like I was saying, my mother doesn't speak Creole very well, but never knew how to write or read Creole. So when she came here, she write English, but she never had that part of education to go to school.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of the people read French though.
Huh? Yeah, a lot of people when they go to school, their education is in French.
In French, yeah.
But there's some Catholic school that I went to. I was fortunate to learn how to read and speak Haitian Creole in French. Yeah.
Okay, well that's very helpful.
That's very helpful.
We know that in New York City, when we go into the local DOH, New York City Department of Health, they usually have flyers on tons of health stuff, especially the COVID that's coming out now, and they have it listed in different languages. Maybe I don't know if Boston has DOH where you could go into the DOH and piggyback off their flyers and add that to your resource packages when you're out in the street.
Yes, there's the Boston Public Health Commission is not exactly like the New York City Health Department, but it's a lot in common. And they do give us all flyers in lots of languages. But as Darlene says, sometimes and Gwen also, that sometimes they help and sometimes they don't, depending on what the education of the person you're speaking to is in their home country usually. And people have had all kinds of varying experiences in different languages. And actually we're on the encounter form, we're checking off which languages were used in this encounter so we can kind of keep track of that. But could we turn this discussion for the next little while to experiences Robert has had, I know many, in trying to reach people for follow-up, but I know you, the ambassadors, are also reaching people for follow-up. That because you told us that you talked to people and then you encountered them again and you found out that they did have the vaccine in between. So did they find you? Did you find them? What are good ways to find people? Can we have maybe Robert could lead off and then we could all kind of follow into that.
Okay, well, when I was recruiting and trying to get individuals back for follow-up, we always had we tried to develop a contact sheet, what we call a contact sheet. And of course, with the name, date, phone number, kind of referral, kind of service, where we referred them to, and if they followed up on that particular referral. And like always, like we said in the beginning, to request follow-up information and to ask them if it's okay to follow up, we want to emphasize that we
Yeah.
want their permission to do so. Because a lot of people like had the encounter with you, and then once it's done, it's done. They don't want to be bothered anymore. But hopefully through the development of conversation with them, that finally leads to this point in time where you make a referral and you got information from them, and you want to follow up on how that referral went or how the situation was. We develop a contact sheet, and like we were saying, the type of service that was provided, whether it was done in English or it was done in Spanish, whether it was done in Russian, whatever language. In New York, it's in the street, it's a lot of Spanish, a lot of Russian right now. Out there in the community, doing drugs and running rampant. So we try to list a language that we communicate with them, the type of referral that was made, to who the referral was made to, and what contact person at the agency we referred them to. So we can have like a backup, like if I'm not able to reach you, I got your phone number, I called, I'm not able to reach you, I could follow up with the individual that I made the referral to and just make a very passive inquiry. Like, remember I referred so-and-so to you. I know they went there and they did the service with you. Have you been in touch with them? Have they followed up? Have they come to their next meeting with you? Do you need me maybe to follow up to see if I could get them to come and see you again? And we try to coordinate with whoever we're referring to. And it's good to develop a contact person or a direct person that you made the referral to. So when you call the agency back again, who you can speak to in that agency who was handling that referral.
I don't think, just to interject, but I could be wrong, so you folks tell me, that we're quite at that level. In other words, we're at the level where we could refer people to a particular food pantry or something else, or a job training program. But I don't think we have the resources as us, and the ambassadors all have other work, and this is their part-time position, to be able to follow up with another agency. But they do have the ability, because they have this encounter form, serves as a contact sheet too, with your permission, and it says it all over that. Would you mind giving me your email, your phone number, your whatever, Facebook, however you want to be contacted? And is it okay if I contact you again? And here's my card, you can contact me again. So we're at that level. But how to increase the amount of follow-up either we can do, or increase the likelihood that somebody will contact us again?
Well, when we were developing the contact sheets in New York, we tried to take it in steps. First, a phone number, then an email. How can I reach you by phone? Can I text you? Can I leave a message for you? If we were using the phone. If that didn't work out too good, what about an email? Is it okay if I send you an email reminder? If that didn't work, is it okay at some point? Can I send a letter to your home address? Do I need to include care of anybody? Is this your home address? Do I have your permission to send a letter to your address? And the letter will be very simple. It'll be a very plain envelope. Nobody has to know where it came from. It's just addressed to you, and it's just a simple, hi, this is Robbie. We spoke the other day. This is just a reminder. Could you give me a call when you have the time? And we would try to set steps on what we would do first. The phone, the text, the message, then we move to the next step. the email, then we'll move to the next step, the letter.
But I think you also used in your work, I know when you did it with me, encountering that same person in the same location again. Now, in our case, we're looking for just ordinary people in the community, not anybody in particular. So it could be like a supermarket. If that person uses that supermarket, I suppose if you're there on Tuesday, they often go shopping on Tuesday and you'd find them again. Same with a hardware store. That may be a little less so, but a barber shop. You know, if you're standing outside a barber shop, same guy's going to come in and get a haircut again in 2 weeks. So it seems to me that there are all the ones you just listed, plus the re-encounter in the street, because, you know, people who go to this church, and and people who shop here.
Marge, I wanted to speak to that because Daphne, first I wanted to mention Daphne. Daphne really is good at being at the library and doing her follow-ups library, because that's where she meets, you know, and she engages other people at the library. Me, I've done my follow-ups usually like I'm not somebody like
You're breaking up, darling.
I might meet people I'm like the whole front line of Target. You know, I engage people, and I know you just said it's like a part-time job, but really it's full-time if you take it very seriously, because I'm on it at different times. You know, so I might be in Target, and this was actually just yesterday, but I'm in Target. I got the whole front line of she engaged over a cake. I'm buying, and so I got this whole front line, and we're all laughing and, you know, engaging over a cake. Well, guess what? Now, you know, have you guys been vaccinated? So how do you feel about the vaccination? You know, and again, I'm just so animated that it staged the whole front line in this conversation. So guess what I know? I know that all of those ladies, there was about 4 of them. You know, they work there. I know that I can go right back to Target and talk to them again.
Yes, but
I have to agree with.
People who are bored on a line are an excellent target. They're waiting around, nothing to do.
Yeah, I totally agree with Adrian, because even though you say it's a full-time job, it is, I mean, a part-time job, it is a full-time job, because, you know, for me, I take my opportunity whenever it pronounces itself to me. So I don't just wait and just like do from 12 to 5. You know, I'm doing it whenever the opportunity presents itself to me. So it is, and it's just really engaging, you know, and it could be from me walking from my house to the corner store, talking with people. So, you know, it could be anywhere, and it's not just a part-time job. It is a full-time job, because you always find yourself engaging.
Yeah.
Follow up in particular for us in New York could have been difficult in the sense of like returning to the scene of the crime, right, so to speak. I recruited them there, and a lot of times, as many times as I went back to that location, I would miss the individual that I was looking for. So getting a phone number, getting an address or an email, or getting maybe an additional contact person that I can leave a message with, who could reach out to you and have you call me back. That was important to us, because a lot of times you go and it would be time consuming going back to that place and waiting and hoping that you run into that individual, though you would continue to do the outreach, but you were there with a specific urgency to contact an individual that you needed to contact for a follow-up appointment or for whatever reason and whatnot. So
I think, you know, that's probably true, except for religious institutions, because, you know, a congregation that's sort of a fixed body. Now, everybody isn't going to come every Sunday, but they're going to come like every other Sunday. So that's probably one of the places where that's not true. Whereas the supermarket, maybe they use a different supermarket. You're not going to find them because for the next 4 weeks they're someplace else.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's certain places that may be stable that
Right,
that
they're
you,
very
that you know they're
stable.
going to come to all the time. But when you're doing the outreach and you're excuse me, doing the outreach and presenting, it doesn't mean that you're going to find them in this same spot all the time.
Oh, another same spot that I've used for other things. Have any of you tried going to senior centers? Because that's a place where you're going to get a pretty stable population if they serve lunch. And there are these senior centers with lunch programs all over the country. So that's one where if you can make your timing work, you're going to be able to find the same people. And they're people who are at risk for COVID especially. So that's a thought.
Now, I will say this. What I'm finding is when you're dealing with the seniors, they're more set in their ways. If they feel like they are not going to get it, they really kind of feel that way. And I'm just finding that to be true.
Yeah.
That is true also. Let's see. What did I do for senior centers to get people to make changes? Well, first of all, a new person like yourselves who volunteers to help out with something like just run a little information session might be one way. I'll discuss it with at another time. Other ways that I got people in senior centers to change their minds about something.
Yeah.
Daycare centers might be good too when you're looking for the little kids.
You're going into senior centers, for example.
Yeah, and that's what Gwen just said. She has the appointment, but I'm doing the same thing actually. I'm doing DMIC for the daycare.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're going to daycares?
Yes, I'm going into DMIC for daycare. I'll be speaking to the daycare center at DMIC. That's children.
Yeah.
So, and I will say this, the vaccination ambassador and a germaphobe, I'm going in double masked.
Well, I mean, it could work in reverse too, with the children and with the seniors, because that's like from one extreme to the other, right? From what we're looking
exactly.
For. Yeah. So
but
if you're working with seniors, and a lot of seniors
is a lot more easier.
Yeah.
I do find that working with the children is easier. Now for me, it's a teaching experience as opposed to the seniors who think they already know it. So one of the things that I plan to do, and this will be my first time going into a daycare and speaking to the classroom, but one of the things I plan on doing is, guess what? Keeping COVID away starts with washing your hands and keeping germs away.
Yes.
So let's all go wash our hands.
Yes.
Yeah, because
so you can engage children a little bit more and make it fun for them.
Yeah, but with the kids, you can only educate them, talk to them about the COVID because they can't make decision. But they can go home and talk about it, the knowledge that they have.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. That's the same thing we do in New York City when we're approaching a particular topic, not addressing the individual directly, but just relaying the information so they could carry it back home.
Back home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The same way they would the germ.
Yeah. Exactly. Same way. And in senior centers, addressing seniors and letting them know that this is a two-way street, that the young people or the younger individuals who could get infected with COVID can bring it home to them. It also works the same way, that they could get infected without knowing and bring it home to their children. So it's good for them to just have the information. And I'm sure they would listen to be made aware that, COVID is not judgmental. You know, COVID is an opportunistic infection. They don't care if you're 80, 90 years old. Don't care if you're 10 years old. Don't care if you're 25 years old. If it has the opportunity to get you, it's going to get you. And this is what they need to be made aware that once you got it, you put yourself in a position of transmission, of passing it on to others.
I would also add that I think about the people I know who died. Well, what it deprived them of, a lot of those older people, were those last couple of years with their grandchildren. And I think that would be kind of motivating. You want to be there with those grandchildren. So, and that's who the people I know who it took away. It took away those last years of people who their families wanted them here and they wanted to be here. Yeah. And they're gone.
Yeah.
I think that's
I have a question there, though. I have a question there, because then it seems like it becomes an argument. Like, okay, I had a conversation, and to me, this gentleman is not a senior. He's about 60 years old. And his point was he doesn't believe in the vaccination, because it's new, that might kill you just as much as COVID might kill you. So either way, you're going to go. Well, my point that I was making to him, so I would rather get the vaccination and be safe from dying and get the germ that you pretty much know might shut down your respiratory system and you're gone. But I feel like I'm arguing a point at this juncture. You know what I mean? And I don't want to, that's not the kind of engagement that we want to have as VAs.
When I was recruiting or doing presentations to individuals and I ran into that kind of an objection, then I would just simply say, listen, I'm trying just to relay information to you. You know what I mean? No, I'm not asking you to do this. I'm not asking
that was
you to
the end
do that.
result, pretty much.
I just want you
don't kill the messenger.
I just want you to be informed. That's all. What you do with the information is on you. But I feel personally that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I would try to give them little examples of what I was saying. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Just keeping it very simple with them, where they hopefully they would make a connection. No, I still don't want to do it. Okay, but you know that you have options. You know what can happen to you if you don't. You know what can happen to you if you do. It's only information. I just want you to hold on to that information. At some point, you may run across a scenario, and then you could go to the shelf, and you could pull it off the shelf and say, wait a minute, somebody gave me this information before, and I'm confronted with something like that now. At least I know if I could go to A, if I could go to B, if I could go to C. It's everything, and for me, and the outreach was voluntary. All I could do is provide the information to you and hoping that you would be receptive to the information. If you weren't receptive to the information, it's okay. I'm only here to provide you information. And if you want more out of the information, I'm over here to facilitate whatever services I can get to you from this information. So, just know it's there for you. Know that I'm there for you. I'm in the community all the time. If you see me next time, reach out to me. Here's my card if you got any questions for me. I mean, that was my simple thing. And believe me, I ran into a lot of individuals who just point blank shut me down. Yep, I don't want to hear it. 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 It's okay. It's okay. But in outreach, we always say it's a game of numbers. The more people you have contact with, the more chance you have to get them to the point that they need to be, or the point that you want them to be. In this case, to the vaccination stage. You know what I mean? If we speak to 100, we know we can't get all 100. But if we could get 10 of those 100, then we are completing our mission.
Yeah.
Yes. I
And
think that's very true. That you know you're not going to get 100%. There's also the aspect of trying to meet the needs. I'm not talking about informational needs, but I'm talking about the access needs. Because I think a lot of people still don't know where to go, or it's not, a vaccine isn't there in front of them when they want it. And I think that's another big job that the ambassadors are doing, is directing people to, this van is going to be here on alternate Tuesdays. Or, I don't know, have any of you done it where you've made appointments for people, through the website for a vaccination in a pharmacy? Has anyone tried that yet? Oh, yes, no?
Vaccine to the pharmacy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you have? Good.
Yeah.
One of the real advantages of that is that if people need a flu vaccine also, or any of the others, they can do them at the same time. You don't need 2 appointments.
Yeah.
And these special pop-up, well, we call them pop-ups in New York, but they're called mobiles in Boston, where they do it either in a van or they set up in somebody's gym or something like that.
Or church.
Church or wherever they can do it. That those only come with one. They're funded to do COVID, so they come with COVID. But if somebody said, hey, I want my yearly flu vaccine, if you get them over to Walgreens or CVS, they can do them both in the same day. It's perfectly safe. The only thing is you got either one sore arm or 1 or 2 sore arms for 2 days. I mean, mostly. Some people, it's true, have a day or night reaction to them. Although I don't know, I personally have not. The person who gave me the first shot said to me, oh, you'll have to get some Tylenol, get into bed. Nothing. I almost sore for 2 days, and then that was the end of it. So,
and what about the booster?
It depends. It's very individual.
I know when I did my first one, I had nothing. I was like, wow, this is a piece of cake. But then when I got the booster, I had a couple of days. I said, oh my God, I felt so miserable.
Right. So it's either some of the shots do it, some don't.
Yeah.
But I think the idea that people can get the missing ones at the same time is a big advantage of the pharmacies, which
I think also offering when we were doing the outreach in New York City, we wanted to bring them, like, let's say, to the site for the interview. We would give them an appointment. This is the appointment. Come to the site this day here. But if you can't, then would you have time right now? Maybe I could just escort you right to the site. Maybe just, see. But with pharmacies, these pharmacies want you to make appointments. They just don't want you to just walk in.
Well, all right. This is down on the Lower East Side, which Robert knows well, but you guys probably less so. They had a vaccine ambassador program where there were people outside the pharmacies doing what you do. And they were saying, have you had your vaccines yet? There's an appointment right now. And they had made an arrangement with that pharmacy that the ambassador would type the stuff in quickly, and they knew there was an appointment in 15 minutes from now.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be kind of arranged that it's not a barrier, especially if you've gone in and shaken hands with the pharmacist and said, look, I'm going to try to get you customers to fill up your 6 slots or 4 slots or 2 or whatever you have this afternoon. And that way it sort of gets around that. Well, maybe we can fit you in right now if they're willing to do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a project initially that was started in New York, in the city, and I remember a lot of people calling these pharmacies to try to get slots, and the slots was like so far in between. It's like no. or I need a
But
shot.
it's done, but
Possible
that part is over.
Yeah,
There are plenty of
that's
slots
it.
now.
It has moderated some where you can call, where you don't even have to call. You could just go online and make the appointment
Yeah,
directly with the pharmacy. And
yeah.
if you're out there with an individual who is interested in it, find out if you can just make the appointment for them. And if possible, if yes, I could escort you right there right now to make it easier for you, or I could give you the appointment and then I could give you a follow-up call to remind you.
And if people are, some people are afraid of shots, you say, I'll go and you hold your hand if you'd like.
Yeah, yeah. I'll buy you a lollipop. Yeah. No.
Yeah, right. Give them out, but sure. Now, not all I did a little investigation. Not all the pharmacies can do all ages. Some can only do adult doses, but you can ask the pharmacist in any pharmacy if that's true. Because I had shot, whatever, the last booster I had in a Rite Aid in Harlem. And they're very nice. And I made that appointment the day before or that day. I said, oops, 6 o'clock, I'll be passing that store. It's great.
Yeah.
I said, can you do the pediatric ones? And he said, at one point they were doing some pediatric, or they do some, but they haven't, that pharmacy had not been given the pediatric doses. So they were capable of it, but they didn't have the supplies. But maybe the Rite Aid a few blocks away was given that supply. So if I were doing that in Harlem, I would know the one over here doesn't do that and the one over here does. So if people said, I want to take my, 7-year-old, you could say, okay, take her to this street, as opposed to this Rite Aid, a few blocks more, but they give the pediatric vaccine. Because it used to be you had to go to your physician, which was a whole hassle. You had to make a doctor appointment just to get a flu shot for the kids, which drove me crazy.
And with a lot of appointments now with primary care, it's because everything was at one point being done virtually. A lot of the appointments were also being done online. So you didn't even have to go into the primary care facility. You just went online and tried to set up an appointment without having to sit there and wait for them to see you.
Well, it was also depending on your situation, if that pediatrician wasn't covered by my insurance, then it was a big cost to me to get the kids a flu shot. I mean, of course I did it, but then at one point, one of the pharmacies was allowed to do it if they were older than 9. So I took one kid with me to the pharmacy and the younger one to the pediatrician. Because people don't have, thank goodness the government is funding all this. If you have insurance, I think they, private insurance or Medicaid or Medicare, that insurance pays it. But if you don't have any,
you can still
they're
get
paying for it,
yeah,
which is wonderful.
Yeah, that's the one big difference with the COVID right now. Exactly. I know, and pre-vaccination, whether you could afford it or not.
Right, because you don't want that to be a barrier for anybody.
And while you're tapping in on that, no insurance. That's another referral that you can make in helping people get insurance. Referring them to the Obamacare, to any local community insurance companies that sit in the streets recruiting people. Health First, Metro Plus.
Do they do that in Boston? I'm sorry. Do they have the ones that are under Obamacare or Affordable Care Act? Do they have tabling themselves, like if there's a street fair, they'll have a table there trying to sign people up for these particular, I'm sure they have different Massachusetts ones because each state is different, but does that happen? Are they trying to sign people up? They'll run the eligibility to make sure you're eligible.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
I know they have this at Boston Medical, or if you go to any community health center, they have an office for that. You schedule an appointment and then you go. They ask you all questions.
You know, in New York, we have like little hubs. They set up little hubs right in the street.
Mwen nan meeting, ma pre lo tale.
Yeah.
Do they
Mwen
have
nan meeting.
what?
No, she's on the
Oh,
phone.
she's on the phone.
The phone was open.
Do they have these little tents in the streets for testing or for signing up for health insurance?
I don't know about Boston. I haven't seen any. I haven't heard of any.
Okay.
I know the career centers actually had people in there come once a week from a clinic to help everyone. You know, libraries may do it. I don't know. I think Darlene and
Mwen nan
Daphne.
meeting, ma pre lo apre.
So you guys are asking about where do they do vaccines at?
Well,
No.
vaccines is one thing, but also health information and COVID testing.
Mm.
Oh, okay, yeah. You can get a lot of that stuff from the library, from the clinics, a lot of the places like the Croc centers, like the Y, the Boys and Girls Club, places like that. Alexa, stop.
Do you have like
places,
little? We
places
have
like
like
that
little
offer the-
tents in the street.
Well, I was gonna say, Marge,
Pop-up
I have
tents.
seen in our community, I have seen the pop-up testing centers, but I have not seen a pop-up COVID vaccination center.
No,
But I have seen pop-up testing centers.
right. We don't have it
So
for
the most times you see the pop-up vaccination centers if like if they're doing like a big event, open like the
Right.
open streets, for instance. That's the most time you'll see that. Like they did at Humvee Park. Remember they had the tent set up and they were doing the vaccines there. So that's the most you will see
Right.
something like that. But not
Yeah,
to
and
say
the
that
event at the
but not to
Common
say that
Square
it
Health Center.
not to say that it can't be done by us. We just have to do the protocol of knowing someone who's licensed to give the vaccine, and collaborate with them, and then we could always set up a tent on our own, doing what I'm doing, getting the permit to set it up. You know, there's a way to do it. So it can be done on our part if we wanted to do it as vaccines, but just collaborating with some of the clinics, and you know, and going in and seeing will they be willing to come out and do the shots for people. It can be done.
It can be done, but is there a cost?
Well, that's just something to look into because if you're in if it's a nonprofit organization like what I'm doing now, they gave me a form that I had to fill out yesterday, and it's a waiver form. So if it's a nonprofit organization, as long as you have that, I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is the form that I had to do yesterday for the application for the one-time entertainment license. And what I had to do, I had to get this paper. The lady sent it from me from City Hall. I got it. I had it filled out. I had to take it to the Boston Police Station to wherever you want the event done at, or whatever area, that captain has to sign off on it. So it can be done. And if it's a nonprofit organization, you can get a waiver fee and they'll waive the cost. Like with us, $11.99 SEIU, we have a waiver fee. So I was able to get that waiver fee, forward it to her, and there's no cost to me now. So the only thing I'm waiting for them to do now is just scan me the license and the permit so we can walk. And we're going to have entertainment. We're going to have a table set up. And like I said, we'll be in Copley on Saturday for a few minutes, and then we'll be walking from Copley to Symphony Hall. So it can be done.
And Boston's Department of Health, do you know, do they have any like mobile units that they set up?
They do, yes. The Department of Public Health has that, yes.
All right, so in those mobile units, I'm pretty sure
always,
they
yes, you can always go to the Department of Public Health. It can be done.
Yeah, so getting information on where those mobile units will be on a particular day or particular time, so you can have that information in case we needed to escort somebody there for a shot, because they give them shots right there.
Or not even that, we could set up a table where the mobile units are at.
Exactly. Knowing where the mobile units are at, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this way you could kill two stones.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that could be done. That's another thing to consider. What time these mobile units will be on what particular days, so we could work on the outreach in that area. And if we get somebody that's interested, we could just take them to the mobile unit. Because then the follow up would be easier, because once they get vaccinated, the mobile unit would follow up on them for the booster shots.
Yeah, I mean, you'll follow up just to ask them how they're feeling, how,
Yeah, yeah, yes,
after the vaccine, is there
yes,
anything I can do to help?
yeah,
Is there any resources that you need? And then you can go into, talking more about, pursuing the booster shot or whatever the next step is.
exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, so that seems to be universal in the city and in Boston too, working, coordinating with the city's DOH, or the community DOH, helps us out a lot too. It helped us out also with getting referrals for people who HIV positive or needed hepatitis treatment and things of that nature. The local DOH helped us out a lot with that, so I'm sure that they're doing the same thing with COVID now. And again, my thing that if in health fairs that you attend, do you see any of the local insurance companies, like the Affordable Care Act people, trying to enroll people into insurance?
They're all over.
Oh, so they're out in the street too, yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I was
Yeah.
referring to before. If you run
Yeah.
across people who object to it, or I don't have no insurance, that's why I haven't gotten it. Where can I take you
Yeah.
to see if you're eligible for insurance, and if you qualify, we can get you insurance like on the spot. A lot of those. It's like those Obamacare phone units they put out in the street. You get a million people coming by to get those free phones.
But technically, if somebody wanted to go and get the vaccine, and they don't have health insurance, they cannot be rejected. They cannot be turned away.
No, of course not. Of course not. Of course not.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. But I'm just saying, for somebody in general, just even if I wanted to go to the hospital, not just for the COVID, but for any type of health situations, they cannot turn you away.
they can't.
In spite of you
They
have
can't.
not having insurance, they cannot turn you away. But in the process, we can work on helping that person to get
That's
insurance.
the ultimate goal, to help you get insurance.
Yeah. Mhm.
So if you don't have an emergency condition where you just need to go to a clinic or
Right,
something,
right.
some kind of coverage.
Right. And a lot of people feel that, some people that I've talked to, that they feel that because they don't have health insurance, they won't go to the hospital. So, you have to try to convey to them that, that's not true. You can go get help. You can be seen at a hospital or at a clinic.
Well, that's part of the misinformation that circulates in our communities. And it's our job to correct that information.
Some of the health disparities.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm. Mhm.
If people don't think that they're going to be admitted or treated, and they're not going to go. But I think that's one of the reasons why we have these pop-ups for health insurance, because to tell people it's not going to cost you anything. If your income is below a certain amount, it's free. If it goes up a little drop, the cost of it goes up. If you get over a certain line, it costs some minimal couple of dollars that people actually could afford if they're then working or something. But if you drop below, then it's free again. But people don't know that. It's been in place for, I don't know, about 10 years or so.
About 10 years now.
But people don't know it.
But then you don't want to find yourself, for anyone, who's trying to work and get ahead, just because you have a few dollars that go ahead, that, you don't want to still be discouraged that, because, my a few dollars went up because I'm working a little more, to keep discouraging you from going, because you don't never know what the amount is. Everybody has, I have a co-payment, but you know what? I refuse to let it discourage me from going to the hospital. So what I do is that with my job, I still have mass health. So whenever my job offers me their insurance, I don't take it until I need it. And a lot of people have to realize that you can still keep your mask off. You do not have to, you don't have to take MAB's health insurance benefits. You don't have to. No one's pushing you, or you don't have to feel if you're under pressure to accept their benefits. So that's what I do. I still keep my mask health, and I do not take nothing from my job as far as health, dental, or nothing like that. Not as long as I know Mass Health can cover it, and I have the ability to to continue to be eligible for it.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
a lot of people
don't
realize it.
Yeah.
I think it's to keep it. It's based on your income, so it depends on your income guideline. So Mass Health will keep you.
That's true though. That's true though. That Darlene. But the same thing with housing. Like the more I make, the more my income go up. Like I have Section 8. It's so sad though that we have to live like that, and everything goes according to your income. Like I was getting food stamps. They cut my food stamps off because of my income, but I still have my Mass Health. So I'm just thankful to have my Mass Health. But I have a daughter in college, but they cut my food stamps off and said, my rent's gone up, but I can't get food stamps. But in order for me to buy food, I have to either buy it out of my pocket, but my daughter can apply for it. So like I told them, you know what, I don't think that's right, but those are the guidelines that we live in. And I told them I don't think it's fair for her have to be, this was last year, a freshman in college worrying about food stamps or having to apply for food stamps. She's in college. She shouldn't have to worry about how she's going to eat. But
right.
She did it, and she got them. So, she makes sure
I'm so glad to hear that. When I was a student, I got food stamps.
Yes.
And I'm so glad they still give them to students.
Yes, so they cut me off, but my daughter still, they said that she could apply, but it's so sad that we have to go through that. With her being in college, she has to worry about how she's gonna eat, so I mean she got them, which is good, but it's just, it's just a lot of things that people don't know, and us being ambassadors, it's just good for us to help, share that information. My mother used to always say, information isn't good unless you share it.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
So yeah.
And it's important. It's important to know what's available in our communities and how to navigate these symptoms, these systems.
Yeah,
you don't know how to navigate these symptoms, you wind up in real hardships.
Yeah, it's just like us having these trainings. I don't mind sharing, believe me, I just don't mind sharing. But it's like us having these trainings and me sharing the information that I share. I mean, I appreciate the information that Adrian shared, that Daphne shared, that Ruth shared, that Marge shared, that all of us share, because it's sometimes the stuff that I don't know that you guys are making me aware of.
That's right. That's right.
So I think you guys know the most about your communities and how all these things work in the Boston area.
It sounds like so, yes.
Don't know at all. Sometimes we just find out of necessity, I was between jobs and I thought, oh my goodness, what are the kids going to do for health insurance? So I quickly learned in New York State, whatever they had to do to apply it, because they were students too. Could they get it for free? And, so you do it out of necessity when it happens. But if I had a belief that there was no way they could get health insurance, that would be really bad, because, that leaves people unprotected, and many people probably won't run around worried about it, but they don't know what they can do about it. I have another question though, because of the communities that you're working in. What happens if a person is undocumented or in a questionable, state? When I say that is, there's some people who know, they're sort of waiting for asylum, or they're, they've overstayed a tourist visa, or all those other ways that people get here without any, without any firm permission to stay. Will they be accepted in a hospital? Or I know they can get the COVID vaccine, but can they get other kinds of health care?
Well, here in New York City, whether you're documented or not documented, all the H&H hospitals, HSC, whether you're documented or not, you have to be served. I mean, any public hospital has to serve you, whether you got means to pay, whether you're a citizen, whether you're not a citizen, they have to see you.
They have to, and it goes back again. And I apologize for cutting you off, but it goes back again to what I just said. Not knowing. If you're not documented and not knowing, they might be reluctant to go in because they're afraid that they're not going to get the care that they need. But knowing, as a vaccine ambassador, knowing that they can, that's my job to help encourage them to go and to let them know, I assure you that you can be seen. You have the right to be seen. They cannot turn you away.
Do other people, how do other people feel about the situation in Boston? Do people in the community know that they can go to, I don't know exactly which hospital or clinic, but do they know they can if they don't have any paperwork?
I think maybe it's through word of mouth.
I can't.
I mean, City Hospital has always been that hospital that has always been broadcast to be open to everybody and anybody, no matter who you are or what circumstance.
Yeah,
I think that is really general knowledge.
And Adrian, make it clear that City Hospital, I know it and you know it, but make clear that, because a lot of people probably don't know that City Hospital is Boston Medical. That was the previous name. That's where I was born at, under that umbrella, City Hospital.
Now, I'd like Daphne and Darlene to comment. Do you think people in the Haitian
City Hospital
know that they can go?
What was the question?
Do people in your communities know that they can go to City Hospital and they won't be turned away? I
think a lot of people doesn't know. Some people doesn't know.
So that's another good message to be bringing. Daphne, what is your thought? Do you think people know that they can go there or not? You think they can't? All right, you're on mute, but yeah. All right, so that's
another issue, I think, with the immigration
that
thing
as well, Marge. Now, and what Gwen was saying, I think, and I understand with like the Haitian Creole, they might not know so much, but like, in the communities, I would say 80% of people would think automatically Boston Medical. What I also feel like people with New England Medical as well. Like Gwen said, the hospital has to see you. You can go to Brigham and Women's as well. Like Gwen said, the hospital has to see you. I don't think a lot of people now, like I said, when it comes to, maybe the Haitian and Creole community knowing that Boston Medical exists, maybe we got a 90%, 80% margin there because 80% of the community knows. But knowing that you can go to the other hospitals, let's bring that down to 60% of the community knows that you can go to those other hospitals too and be seen without being insured.
Right, but I think
the knowledge is scarce.
I think with the Haitian and Creole population, with a lot of them not knowing, I think it's pretty much all through word of mouth, because they all seem to know one another. I go to work, I have a lot of women that's from Nigeria that I work with, and they all seem to know everything by word of mouth. By word of mouth. So if they don't know, I think they find out through word of mouth that you can go.
And even going into these hospitals, whether they're city hospitals or public hospitals, I mean, you're going to have to be treated regardless. But these private hospitals can turn around to the social work department and help you apply for some kind of insurance or some kind of benefit.
Right, but I'm saying for people who are in those question mark state, they don't have a green card yet, and they're working on it, they are not entitled to the benefits. So, but they are entitled to basic health care. I mean, if you're a tourist, you're also entitled to this basic health care. You're here legally, but not as a worker. You can walk into a city hospital. People do it all the time. They come down with something and they go to a hospital.
And Marge, I would actually beg to differ there a little bit. if you're in this country illegally, you're an illegal alien immigrant, or you're still applying for your green card and it hasn't come yet, you're really not yet entitled to basic health care, having a PCP, a doctor, and basic health care, but you are definitely entitled to treatment. I don't care where you're from, where you belong. If you get shot by a gun and you get into the hospital, you're entitled to treatment. The same with a COVID vaccination, the same with the influenza vaccination. They are entitled to treatment.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And that's universal within the U.S.
Right.
I think once from what I've seen, it's just like if you go to here, what I've seen is just like if you don't have insurance, you go to an ER. So they treat you for whatever you have, like at that moment. But once you go to the floor, they start they wanted to know what kind of insurance you have. And if you don't have insurance, sometimes they just give you something. They said it's a treatment, just go home. But if you did have insurance, sometimes they will just keep you and make sure you get all your treatment at the hospital.
So the level of care that you get might depend on your insurance status.
It might depend on, if something would have happened at the moment you were in ER,
they will treat it.
They will do everything. They will give you all the treatment right there. They will treat you. But once you have to stay for a couple of days, they start searching for your insurance. If you don't have insurance, it's not they don't give you full treatment.
Well, here in New York City, if you go to the emergency room and you have an emergency condition, even if it's lasting beyond that, they will not refuse you. Even if they got to keep you in the hospital for 3 or 4 days, they're going to keep you there until you're stable enough to be discharged. They just don't. They just won't discharge you because you have no insurance. We treated the condition you came in with, and you got no insurance. We're not going to do anything further for you. They will keep you in there until you are somewhat recovered before you are discharged. I mean, this is the level of care that public hospitals have to provide.
Well, but that may be specific to New York City. And I don't even know if it's true for the other parts of New York State. I'd have to look into it. And I don't know, it may be specific to Boston because they have a certain jurisdiction, and it may not be even true in another part of Massachusetts. So this is kind of.
Well, we're talking city hospitals, Marge.
Right. No, city hospitals in New York might be different than city hospitals in their policies in another state.
I mean, all these hospitals are funded by state and federal governments. They have to all follow pretty much the same guidelines. They all have patient civil rights.
Yeah, but they don't follow the same ACA guidelines, and they don't follow the same Medicaid guidelines because they're state programs. They do have to follow the same Medicare guidelines because it's a federal program. So I think it's kind of a mixture, and it's a little bit beyond what we're talking about here. What we want is assurance that if somebody can get this vaccine, if they have no
insurance at all,
no papers for the U.S. or no papers that the U.S. wants at the moment, because so many people who are in limbo states, where they're waiting, they got a court case, they got an asylum case, they got this and that, and so, but those people can all get this, these basic levels of health care by going to an emergency room and can get the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, without somebody asking for your papers, which is really important. I mean, every country should have such a thing. I mean, people land up in any country without a vaccine, and they need one. So it's a way to protect them and the population here, of course.
Even when we're dealing with
what?
Yeah. Even when we're dealing with undocumented citizens here, like in New York City, for them to access health care. Sometimes the fear that they are not documented prevents them from accessing that care. For fear that they want information that they haven't provided. They're afraid to go get the care for that same reason. So, you have to convey that message that regardless of your documentation, you are entitled to that.
Right. Now, I would say that would be a reason to use the mobile sites, which are geared for anybody as a walk-in, rather than the pharmacies that might ask you, they do ask you for if you have health insurance, or they don't turn you down if you don't have health insurance, but they ask you for a social security number, yes, which anybody who's undocumented or a tourist or an asylum seeker would not have yet. So it seems to me that we, the ambassadors, should know which places are more user-friendly and don't ask questions for proof of identity or proof of insurance. And it sounds to me like, from all the things I've been listening to here, and also the information given by the Boston Public Health Commission, that the mobile sites are the way to go. So, Ruth, I think we get all that info on where all the sites are, when they're going to be at a particular, fall fair, or a regular visit to a church, or, different places in the neighborhood. I would like to say that I could use a little break.
Oh.
Do you usually, Ruth, do a break in the middle? And also that today I will have to jump off at about 3. But how long a break do we usually have in the middle?
10 minutes.
That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so see everybody.
You said 10 minutes, Ruth?
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Okay, so Ruth, I have to jump off. I have a Zoom with my job for the new lady that's coming in.
Right.
The nurse has to do a rundown of her medical stuff with us. So I will try to jump back on afterwards.
Okay, great.
I'm waiting to get on this meeting now. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. So we'll come back at 2:15.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, Ruth. I think this is going quite well.
Well, I've learned a lot about the ambassadors just from listening.
Right.
We have a bit of a meeting tomorrow, and that's one of the reasons why, because they're all doing so many things, but collectively, we need to gather that information.
Well, it sounds like they're all keeping the encounter sheets. So do you have a way to gather them in?
Daphne, Darlene brought me hers last week. And
bring everybody in on it in a minute, okay?
Yeah,
Because I think that's an important part of this.
Exactly.
Are we discussing?
And we discussed I'll be handling mine as well.
And then I have to go at 3. I might make it back, but probably not, because I have to do something. So we should ask if people can bring those encounter sheets. I should be having a meeting tomorrow about, I really got it. If this doesn't work, I'm going to get a consultant and get this program onto the computers like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got to get them up there to you soon, sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
Bruce, I'm on 2 Zooms.
You're on 2 Zooms, okay.
I'm listening to you and I'm listening to both of you guys, but I have the job. Can you hear them talking?
Yeah, what I would like you to do is to shut the sound off of one unit. So we,
The sound is off on my job, but
oh,
I thought I had turned you guys off, but I didn't. So I'm just letting you know that I'm on two Zooms, so you can hear them, right?
I could hear him, yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, so I'm on. So I'm gonna just put you guys on mute too until the Zoom is over, and then that way I don't have to log back into the Zoom. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
Mhm.
I'm on with them talking about this participant.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Thank
So
you,
I have to
Gwen.
put you on mute because of HIPAA.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're all here for the moment. Where do you want to go from here, Robert, please?
Well, I think we were discussing, let me see, uh, on developing the resource guide and the referrals and how to have that contact sheet to know what services have been provided and what steps we've taken to provide those services, where we referred the people, like as documentation of the encounter.
Okay, I'm going to interject right there and say that everybody here has encounter forms and everybody has referred to using them, including someone who said that they had the person they were talking to fill it out. What we may have to make sure is that those forms get to Ruth. Now, I understand, Darlene, you've given them to Ruth already. So maybe, no.
Well, how to record those forms, Marge?
Well, right now they're on paper. I am hoping tomorrow to settle up how to get them onto a tablet and then put them on enough tablets for all the ambassadors so they can have them, and we'll shoot them up to Boston as quick as possible. But I'm having trouble with the first couple of programs we tried didn't do what we needed, which was to have it retained by the ambassador and also instead of coming to Ruth, they'll come to us at the New York office. So stay tuned, everyone. If it doesn't work the way I planned, I will get a consultant in and solve this soon. I have a person to call, but for right now, all this information is being collected on paper, including a spot on the form that says whether this is a first encounter with this person or a second or third encounter with this person. So all that data should be coming to Ruth shortly, but also at this point has to be retained by the ambassador. This is herself. There is a gentleman who's part of the group, but he's not here today. So it's a question. Until we have it on Android, maybe if the people bring it to Ruth, you could copy them. So you retain a copy and they have a copy. Would that be possible? Wait, now we can't hear you because you're on mute.
I think anything is possible as long as we all know exactly what it is we're supposed to do. Period.
Okay.
So all the paper forms should come to Ruth. They will be copied and handed back to you. Does that suit everybody? That way you have the person's all the information and she has it. Wait, Darlene, you're on mute.
Okay, I make copy for me, then I give Wolf the original form.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So if everyone else can do that, then we're okay until I can get the electronic ones up and running.
Over here on some of our studies in New York, Marge, we had like an Excel program, and then everybody was able to tap into that Excel program and list their contacts and the name of the contacts,
Well,
and just update the Excel sheet as
you
it goes
should,
along until you get the electronic piece, and then you could transfer all that information, as opposed to sending all these paper copies that sometimes don't arrive or get misplaced or.
well, I think at this time, I think it's a burden to have everybody put it into an Excel spreadsheet. So that's why for right now, temporary, for another 2 weeks, we're gonna do the paper ones. Then somebody here or in Boston, not the ambassadors, will put it into an Excel spreadsheet.
What about an FMP program, if I'll make a pro?
I'll make a pro. I don't know. I'll look into it. Right now, we're thinking of using something called EpiInfo, but we'll have a separate discussion about that.
Okay.
Now, I'll make a note of that. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say about recording and how we're going to make sure we capture all the data that's happened so far. But what was your next topic, or did you have more that you wanted to say about this?
Well, the recording of the information, I mean,
both.
If it's done on paper, then all the ambassadors are going to have their own individual sheets, and they're going to forward it to Ruth, their copies of the sheet.
And they'll retain. Ruth will get a copy, and they'll retain.
And they'll keep their own copies. Okay. And there's no way that A could see what B did, or B could see what C did.
Not until we summarize it all.
Okay. All right.
And then we'll have a full picture, and everybody can, we'll say so many and so many contacts in September, and how many were male and female, and how many were in Creole, and how many were in Spanish, and how many were in English, and all that kind of stuff, once we can summarize them.
I mean, from what I'm hearing, as far as the setting up the information, it seems like the ambassadors got their own way of doing this at the moment, which is on the same page with everybody else. I really don't know where else we could go with this here. If there's any other topics as far as doing outreach as to where and which we discussed. Is there any way like we could piggyback, for instance, on health fairs? We could piggyback maybe like with a tabling of our own at a particular health fair. As they come through, we could explain what we're doing there.
Good question. Have we tried health fairs?
Gwen is the best one. She always sends us things. So there are times when there are health fairs. I believe Boston Public Health Commission has got a health fair coming up. So I did take my notes yesterday because I did go to the meeting. And I think we should look into health fairs. The same way we did with Harambee Park, we piggybacked on BPHC, and we hit a lot of people. And I know that Gwen, myself, and Adrian met people that day, and I've followed up with 2 of them in helping, but they had the vaccines except for one's little 2-year-old, and he already had an appointment to get it. So I will, yeah.
One of the problems with going to health fairs, sometimes they're great because they're people who are worried about something. That's who come. People who are worried about health or who want to learn more about health. Mm-hmm. But they're usually people who are believers in sort of regular Western medicine to begin with. Mm-hmm. That they believe in vaccines, although they may have hesitancy about this particular vaccine. and they, they may object to something that the dietary recommendations because they believe something else, but in general, they do. So in some ways, if you health people go to health fairs, you're preaching to the converted already. The question is, what other kinds of venues have been very fruitful? And maybe we should let the ambassadors say other types of venues that they've gone to. And then Robert, you can comment on maybe a few other kinds. Where else? So the library has turned out to be fruitful, right? Darlene?
Yeah.
And Daphne, the church has been fruitful, right?
Yeah.
Those are where you've been. And Adrian, where did you mention that you had gone?
For me, I'm finding that the health centers, when you actually go to the health centers and to their events, that's most fruitful.
When you go into
when you go to the health centers
yeah.
and to their events, like they had an event on the back to school event at Franklin Park that I went
Yes,
to.
yes, I
I
remember
find that those kind of events are most fruitful for me, dealing with the health centers.
Health center.
And I like dealing with the health centers because I actually talk to staff and see how we can, partner up. So what do you guys have going on? And this is what I'm doing. And, so how can we partner up? And, I can come to this event, or, I might be able to help like this. So that's how I ended up with the speaking engagement at Demick.
Okay, so that's another. All right, those are.
Maybe contact.
Are you talking to us, Daphne? Because I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Oh, now I can. Now I can.
Oh, I said I'm sorry. I'm on mute. So I said Saturday I will participate in the march with Gren. So I would like have more flyers because my machine copies has broken. So and when I in the march to give some flowers, so like people.
A march sounds good.
Saturday, this Saturday.
What about community-based organizations that we could partner with when they go out there to do their own outreach, that we could go with them?
Yeah.
Just individual community-based organizations who may take referrals from us for case management or for any particular health service. A lot of these community-based organizations do outreach at particular activities themselves, that we could go with them to those activities and piggyback with them as part of their operation.
Okay.
So Saturday, the thing that Daphne is talking about, and I apologize, guys, because I'm on 2 Zooms at one time.
It's okay.
They're just giving us the rundown about the clients that we have that's coming in. So the thing that Daphne is with the Support People's campaign, and we're gonna march, but we will be doing outreach at the same time. So my plan was to, after we march to Symphony Hall, is to reroute myself and go back to the Indonesian festival. Maybe for about an hour or two, if possible. It all depends. But we can still do outreach while we're there with the Poor People's campaign. That's how I find out. Besides going online, doing researches, going into the library, like I said, a lot of the centers here, and even just some of the little convenience stores. Believe it or not, they have like little flyers that people leave flyers and stuff like that in there for things. I got a flyer on there for about a coat drive. So you'll be surprised on which to pick up information on. So that's my plan for Saturday. And we're rallying with about 100 people on Saturday.
Wow. Okay, this sounds good. This sounds really good. So taking
that's how I do a lot of my outreach. When you have events like that.
Mm.
Oh,
So
excuse me, honey.
I'm just waiting for the permit. I'm just waiting for them to give me the permit so we can get the ball rolling. I'm very optimistic that I will get it. Going back and forth with a welder at City Hall, and that's another good thing. Having good connections.
Yes, it is.
Networking is very important.
City Hall, so
Yeah, on that one, on the top. So I'm gonna have to put you guys on mute because you
Okay,
guys are listening to our
that's okay.
Okay, okay.
And who used
Adriana,
outreach at Target?
Zero about
on mute.
one per shelf, and then over there, you got cat diet, Sprite.
Adrian did.
Oh, so that's another good place. And a big box store gets lots and lots
I'm
of
sorry,
people.
ladies. I heard my name. What was the question? I'm actually shopping in Target, ladies and
Okay,
gentlemen.
well, that's what we were talking about. That going to a big box store and being near the cash register nets you lots and lots and lots of people who some of whom believe in vaccines and some who don't. So
Yes. And see, this is what I do. And I don't know if you guys have watched me since I've been in here, but I've probably already made 3 friends since I've been through the store. It's I'm going to put you guys on hold.
that's great. So we've identified lots of different venues.
Maybe when we visit other venues, like Target, if they have a community board, or supermarkets, if they have a community board where people post rental units or vacuum cleaning services, where they would allow us to maybe clip some of our posters on there, or maybe any community-based organizations where we could leave our flyers along with other agencies who drop their flyers off.
I believe that we have all done that. We have all brought, especially, I did a little strip mall, and some places allow you to leave something and other places do not.
Yes, of course.
But
yes,
and I know the lot.
Wait, you just went on mute, Ruth.
You're on mute, Ruth.
Sorry.
Sorry.
So I know with Darlene and Daphne, they're always picking up flyers along with Gwen, but at the library specifically, they have tons of information on a board. But you're right, we could add a little bit more to that roster. Our CBOs, and for an example, Marge and I are on the advisory council. They are doing their grant, we're doing our grant. I don't know how well it would work to try to pull it all together for our own statistics. I think that it would skew our statistics.
Yeah, okay.
But I have reached out to adult ed schools. And we might be able to go to an adult ed school.
Yes.
And talk to the people.
You know where else you find a lot of people?
What about we were doing something on one NYU, a study where we were targeting accessorides.
Oh.
Because they pick up individuals who can't move around, who go from doctor's appointments to doctor's appointments, or they're taken from their house to the shopping center, from the shopping center back to their house, and having flyers distributed amongst these accessorides.
Another place to do outreach as well as flyers is, not that it always works, but liquor stores. I think they're called package stores in Massachusetts. I can't remember, right?
Yeah,
a liquor store, package store,
Package stores.
Or we can do some of the community college.
Community colleges.
Yes.
Okay, and the daily tables and the food pantries.
Food pantries.
Yes.
You can. Yes, in the daily tables, the daily tables actually have tables outside of them where you actually just leave information.
You have
how about hardware? How about like Home Depot or Lowe's or some other store like that?
Yeah.
What?
You say
I
who?
don't think they have boards, you know, in
No,
places like those.
but there are plenty of people waiting online there.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know, I mean, it seems to me there are lots of people who go in there, especially like it's a good place to find men.
What about in harm reduction programs?
Exactly.
You have harm reduction programs out there in Boston? Because now they got this new component attached to them, safer injection practices, where they allow them to come in there and inquire about injecting on the facility itself.
Oh, yeah, I just saw that in Rhode Island, but I don't know about Massachusetts.
In New York, we have it. They're in New York, and they have a lot of individuals coming in through there. So it's good to, like, talk to them about communicable diseases as opposed to just, injecting drugs and whatnot while they're there waiting for a slot, or if they come in to pick up clean syringes. And a lot of times we found that they're picking up clean syringes and it wasn't necessarily for injection use, but they were exchanging syringes for family members with diabetes.
Because they can't afford them.
Yeah. Well, the convenience of the family member not having to go to the drugstore to get it, or make multiple trips, because with the needle exchange, if you bring 50, you could get 50. If you bring 10, you could get 10. So, they accumulate 50, 60 at one time. They bring it in and bring back 50, 60, and eliminates the trip for the family member to have to go to the pharmacy on that regular basis. So in there, you could.
I mean, it seems to me like it's just a question of expanding all the venues, or if you seem to have used up one of them, then you go on to another. Now, these are good for a couple. I mean, we're talking about several different things. One is leaving flyers. Another one is making individual contacts yourself in some of these places. Like if you could stand outside a library, you could also stand outside a Home Depot. I mean, maybe it might not be so comfortable, but it might be. So, there are many, different ways. You could get invited to speak at a senior center or at a daycare center. You can get invited if you're really good, like you want to speak at a church. It depends on your own personality, your own contacts, who you're trying to reach. But there are like multiple places to meet people. When you leave flyers, which is very important, is there a contact number or something on those flyers? So that who do they reach? Do they reach the individual ambassador, or do they reach your office, Ruth? I don't know how it's set up.
What we did was we added that portion onto any flyer, so the vaccine ambassador puts their name. Now, if someone does not want to be contacted directly, that's fine. They can give my number. But, that was added to each flyer because we were told we could not have business cards.
Why not?
The union frowns against it.
Okay.
On those flyers, could you have, like, let's say, a general 800 number that's just associated with your program?
Only if
anybody call this 800 number and they will get directly to you.
Only if the union wanted to have the 800 number and share it. And I would have to ask my boss, and she would still have to go to the union. So in some cases, things that I've asked for, my hands are certainly tied.
Hey.
I don't know that an 800 number is so necessary because the calls are all local. So if people are paying, I don't know what people aren't much paying per call anymore. They buy like blocks with the,
Want to come right by you, darling. Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know that 800 numbers save people money anymore. So it's the main thing is just to have a number that they can call.
Mhm.
Because it's all within Boston. So it's not like they're coming from all over the country. And most plans don't seem to do that anymore, but I could be wrong because I don't know what kinds of phones people are using.
Well, it's just a number that's associated with your study specifically. It's not.
Yeah.
That anybody wanting information about the COVID ambassador program, this number is just
Right.
directly for that.
Well, I was thinking a flyer could say, want more vaccine information or info, call me. Or want to know where to get a vaccine, call me.
But I thought 800 numbers, they're not toll free anymore.
They are, but I think so. But what I'm saying is I don't think that I don't think they're a money saver anymore.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I'm not that, I haven't kept up with that. I know that many organizations have 800 or 866 or 8 something numbers, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mhm. Mhm.
I just wanted to say I'm going to have to go in a few minutes because I have something scheduled today. I thank you so much, Robert. We'll talk afterwards because you'll be on, after I leave. Thank you, ambassadors, very, very much. All of you. You are such smart people and you've got a lot of this figured out way ahead of us. We just felt that it would be good to have one session of this discussion, which has been a great discussion. I mean, you all contributed so much. And Robert has learned from you, and you have learned from him, I hope. And I think you could also ask him any questions after I go if you'd like. Because I worked with him in the past on many street research projects. And he can recruit people from anywhere. And also do follow up on, difficult to find populations. We don't have people who are in hiding. We just have people maybe who aren't so interested, which is a different problem. So, but he does know how to find even hidden populations. So I wanted to thank everybody, and I'm going to log off, and I'll get reports, from everybody afterwards. Keep up the good work, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mon.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
like we're discussing, when we're talking outreach, basically, from what I'm observing and the information I'm getting from the ambassadors, this is pretty much a universal. I think we all follow the same, more or less, same guidelines, same steps to get from A to B to C and whatnot. So there's really no magic message. I mean, ambassadors from Boston could come to New York and probably do the same type of outreach in New York City streets. And I'm sure I could go to Boston and do the same outreach out there. Just learning the areas and learning what agencies and what services are in the communities of Boston. I'm pretty sure I could do same thing the ambassadors are doing, and I'm pretty sure the ambassadors could come to New York and knock it out the park too, because we know what we're doing, and we know how to go about it. The one main important thing is that we care. This is our community, and we care about the health of our communities, and we don't take anything personal. I never take anything personal. I've been told to go F myself, to drop dead, to don't bother me anymore. And I can say, okay, thank you. Maybe next time. There won't be the next time. Okay, not a problem. But still, as an outreach worker, I know that tenacity is probably the main component to doing this work. You have to be persistent and you have to be at it always. Don't let we can't be deterred because a person tells you to go F yourself. Very kind words. Thank you very much. If I could just reciprocate the sentiment, go F yourself too. You know what I mean? But we could always just keep it without it getting personal, and try to inflict a little bit of humor. Like, hey, listen, this is only information. If you want it, you want it. If you don't want it, you don't want it. Like, no skin off my back, no skin off your back. Maybe next time you'll be in a better frame of mind, or you'll be in a better place, and you might be more receptive. You know what I mean? Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to what I had to say and then telling me to bug off. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys encountered anything like that, but in New York, we run across a lot of this stuff.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I wish someday I could get out to Boston and hang out with one of you guys and see how it's actually done on the streets of Boston.
I have an aunt that lives in the Bronx. The next time she comes, I'm gonna tell her to look you up so you can ride along with her.
Oh yeah. Who she work with out here in the Bronx? We did a lot of too with us. It was a lot of recruitment for actual research studies. It wasn't just to provide information. There was always inclusion and exclusion information that qualified them for the study. And then they were always receptive because there was always incentives. They were paid to participate in these studies. Right? So your challenge is even more difficult than what I'm talking about. There is no incentive and no payment for their participation other than just general welfare for them, health benefits that they can benefit from the information you provide, which is so important. And as always, we all know that I like to end it with when I'm speaking to somebody that the information that they provide me is more important to me than the incentive that we were giving them. We really couldn't pay you enough for the information that you were providing.
Thanks.
So I got to give you guys props. You guys are doing a great job. It sounds like you got this ball rolling in the right direction. All we need to continue to do is create that snowball effect, right? Keep it rolling so we could bring in and gather more and more people as the snowball builds up.
Thank you.
And by the way, I love the Bronx.
Okay.
Yeah, my aunt Karen lives in the Bronx.
Yeah.
I had to go to New York just a couple of weeks back because she gave me a car. She knows I was walking for a while, and she upgraded her car. And Ruth seen
what
it.
section in the Bronx you in? Mott Haven? What section?
You know what? I'm not too sure. I know it was the Bronx, and she lived in an apartment building, and that's
Doing great. I need you to get the water down, and the rest of it's on the customer service.
Okay.
Gave me a nice car. Actually, it's a Mercedes-Benz ML350. Ruth seen it.
You go, girl. Outreach and style. That's what I'm talking about.
I tried to bus up to New York, and she picked me up about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I stayed with her. And then I drove the car back that Saturday. So to Boston from New York. So life is good.
I hear you. Life is good. Sure is.
Yeah. So, but okay. Thank you for being on for us.
Yep. Can I just interject one thing just as a reminder to everybody? There's a meeting here tomorrow in person at 12 to 1 with the boss. And then I forget it will continue. I sent everybody the agenda of what we have to do. And I think everything that Robert brought to the table and everything that you guys brought to the table, we can really continue this conversation. And I do want to thank you personally, Robert.
Thank you
for
for
being
inviting
with
me and
us.
for having me. I really enjoyed this. I'm
Yeah.
looking.
So it's gonna be at 12 to 1, Wolf?
It's 12 to 1 with Dora, but then 1 to 2 with us as a group because we haven't met for a long time.
Okay.
And but only 2 hours. That's it. That's all I'm asking for. But I want to carry forward some of what you learned today from Robert, what he learned from you, what I've learned from you today that I want to discuss so that we can take out some of the kinks because there is a lot of stuff that you guys do that I didn't realize how much you're doing. So but those are the things we'll talk about tomorrow.
I'm
Not
going
a
to
big
try my
meeting.
best to make it.
And ongoing studies there's always tweaking that goes on.
Right.
It continuously changes, and we have to adapt to these changes and become innovative in different ways to do the same old thing we started to do. There's different ways to do it.
Yeah.
But you guys are doing much more than you've discussed with me, is what I'm saying. When I see it on a timesheet, it looks very different on a one-dimensional object. I want to get the 3-dimensional view tomorrow, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, okay, excellent. Robert, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm looking forward to coming back and participating some more in this study.
I hope so. I hope so.
I hope so myself.
And
ladies, thank you so much. You're doing a great job. And when you're in New York, give me a holler.
All right.
All right.
Thank
I'm
you,
here.
Robert. It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you. Yeah.
Take care, ladies. Thank you so much for having me. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Bye. All.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Hi,
You too,
darling.
darling.
Nice to see you.
Bye.
Hi.
Okay, so we'll see everyone tomorrow.
Okay.
12
Girl,
o'clock.
cancel. Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Okay. Have a good day.
Okay. Bye.
Wood?
Yes,
I'm
definitely.
going to touch base with you and Adrian, Daphne.
I'm sorry?
I was telling Daphne and Adrian I would touch base with them.
Okay, 1 second, Grain. Wood,
yes.
I am in on 12 or on the group 1 p.m. Which group?
Both.
Both? Okay.
Yeah, 12 to 1. I want Dora to meet you. I want her to hear from you. I want her to understand what we're all doing. And whatever she, would like to us or to see, that might not come tomorrow. But because of this conversation today, seriously, and I sent you all the agenda, okay, and really want you to talk about introducing yourself to Dora. Talk about what's working and what isn't working.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Okay.
You too. You've been awesome.
Thank you. It goes both ways.
Okay.
That, and what we can do, what do we want to see, if anything, but how could we make things better? How can I make things better? I want, we can talk to one another, like let's put it this way. If you want something from me that I'm not giving to you, then what I'm saying to you is you have to tell me this. We have to openly communicate. It's not to say anything that you're upset with somebody. It's got nothing to do with that. It's really to make the whole thing better. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right. So like tomorrow, if you want the flyers, I can be looking for some flyers. I can print some flyers so you can all have them for Saturday.
My thing, Ruth, is that I try to come to the trainings as much as I can, but my thing is that and I was saying to myself that I was thinking about disassociating myself because You know, sometimes I feel bad because I cannot be on. But you know, I wasn't under the impression that when I got on as being an ambassador, that we had to do the trainings every week, and sometimes it's just impossible for me to do it. You know, not that I don't want to, but it's impossible, especially like on Tuesdays where I work all day long. You know,
Well,
and then I have other obligations too as well. Like I just got, I'm gonna send it to you. Like, I had my next physical therapy appointment on the 31st, but they called and they got a cancellation. So I went today at 10:30. So I went to the physical therapy appointment at 10:30, but then they text me from my job saying that we had a staff meeting at 10 o'clock. So I did the staff meeting until 10:30. Then they come up that we have to get back on at 2 o'clock because of the new person coming in. So it's not because I don't want to be there. It's just that there's other things, you know. Now they gave me the schedule for the next couple of weeks, because at this point now I have to do physical therapy for my knee for 12 weeks.
Right.
I have to do it twice a week. I'm trying to find my bag so I can show you. I'm going to send it to you. So it's like I have to do it on Thursdays and Fridays. So after today, she was saying what's going on is that I have no strength in my hips, which is allowing the pain from my back to go, you know, it's not giving me the strength that I need in the front part of my knees, in the hamstring parts of my knees. And that's why a part of the swelling's not going down. Even after they gave me the cortisone shot, it's still not working. And the knee is still swelled. So she's saying that is the reason why. So she gave me a list of exercises to do. But this is the schedule that I have for the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna send it to you so you can see yourself. They highlighted it for me, the dates and stuff. These are the exercises. She wants me to even stop doing the exercises that I'm doing and focus on these with the breathing, which will help strengthen my hip area and will hopefully help the knee develop, because she says what's happening is that where the cartilage is torn, the bone is rubbing.
Yes, of course.
So it's not that I don't want to be there. It's just that sometimes I just can't.
Well,
so I just want to let you know that, you know, and it's difficult. I even had to get a letter because I had to cut the Zoom meeting off with the job earlier to say, you know what, this is where I was. I had to stop the Zoom because I was in the physical therapy. So I had to send all of that to them just now. So, you know, it's just sometimes difficult for me. And I mean, I like doing what I'm doing. Don't get me wrong. And, you know, because I'm helping people, you know, and that's just, and that's who I am. I like helping people, you know. But then, like for Thursdays, my day don't end here on Zoom. I gotta get on with 1199 at 4 o'clock from 4 to 5, and then after that, I get on with the Poor People's Campaign from 6:30 to 7:30, and then after that, I got one last Zoom from 8 to 9. So it's just sometimes, like I have to tell Vaughn, and you know who I'm talking about. I have to tell Vaughn, you know, Vaughn, sometimes it becomes overwhelming, you know. Like he asked me to speak on Saturday in honor of him because he can't be there. He knows Vaughn knows when I start speaking, I'm okay, fine, like speaking with you guys, but I don't know what it is. But whenever I get in front of a crowd of people, I stop mumbling. So, but he asked me to speak on Saturday, and I'm like, okay, Vaughn. But he said, you can't get up there mumbling. I'm like, well, then why'd you ask me to talk? So you know, it's just that. The only thing I'm saying is that even though the trainings is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's sometimes if I can't be there, it's not because I don't want to be there. It's just that I just can't because of something else or another obligation that I have.
And I understand that. I know that there's a little bit of an orientation that everybody had, or I mailed it to you, emailed it to you. It's a requirement of the grant that it's 70 hours of training. It's just like if you went to be a CNA, you would have to do the training.
Right,
So
right. I understand.
because this is a community health worker we're talking about, A, and B, I can, as soon as they get them together, I can send you all of New York's trainings, but then
Okay.
I have to follow it up with questions, is what
Right.
I'm saying.
So,
And these are things that I wanted to talk about tomorrow, because I feel like we're all doing a great job. Don't get me wrong, but I understand everybody has a life outside of this. But I
yeah.
also told you, because we don't have that many ambassadors, is that, you can get paid extra hours. Okay. And I know that people work more hours than 10 hours. But again, if I don't have paperwork, or I don't have just even an email saying, this is what I did, and I work from here to here. And it's hard sometimes for all of you, for myself included. And I will just say, you can't see it, but I have a little steno book that I write in all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have to keep track of everything, and so do you. So what these are things I think we can talk about, think about. I want to get everything out on the table and see how we can collectively work through it. How can I be the catalyst in this to make it happen, so you don't feel overstressed?
Yeah. And it's not even feeling overstressed. It's just like,
You're frozen, then, Gwen.
She's muted.
She's muted. Oh, okay. When you're muted. You're muted, Gwen.
So that's what I'm saying,
Oh, we didn't hear a thing because you were muted.
And, so, sometimes, I'm just saying, like.
What
She's
happened?
muted again.
It's muted again.
Yeah, she keeps hitting the mute button and she doesn't know it. But Ruth, I don't know if you heard the part that I left on the message. I'm not in town this weekend. Yeah, I was supposed to be, but I'm still in Georgia, so I will be back on Saturday.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's all I'm saying. It's like, it's not sometimes because I don't want to be on. It's just sometimes that I can't. And it's just like, for instance, like with me filling out my timesheet. If I don't remember to do it, because I have so many things that I'm doing, I will forget. I'll just forget, because I have so much stuff on my plate, and it's like everybody seems to call upon me, and I have to start learning how to say no, because it's just so hard for me to do that, because I do community stuff, and people depend on me, and it's so hard for me to say no. But I said to myself, I'm gonna have to get to the point where I just have to say no sometimes. I was with Pat yesterday from the Poor People's Campaign, and I tell you, we couldn't even get through the day. Must have been about like 7 people that called me, just interrupting our meeting. So, it can become overwhelming sometimes. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, of course. And I of all people understand that. I totally do. I think that on my end.
Yeah, not just for me, but for all of us.
Hey, Gwen, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yes.
One thing that I will say to you, and Ruth just said it, and you really should try to implement this. I know sometimes it seems hard because it seems like another thing to do, but that list or to-do list, or just get you I have a little Mickey Mouse steno notebook. It's just a little teeny, it's about this big, and I write everything I do down in it. And that's how I've been able to keep up with my hours for this particular position. Because remember, I, like you, I work several jobs. I'm in Georgia right now, real estate investing. Okay. I'm looking at houses for people. All right. I'm a bird dog right now, but I do multiple different things. But to be able to keep up with that, you really need to have you a little teeny notebook that you can keep in your purse or in your to-do bag that you carry every day, so you can jot down what you've gotten done so you can keep up with it. And I found that to be very helpful when you're a person like us and you're just involved in multiple things. Remember, and this is another thing that I wanted to mention to you ladies while I have you on the phone. I missed the appointment with Gwen that I made for another job that I do. But it does coincide with what we do as vaccination ambassadors. And this job that I do is more of a business, but we actually have a health food club, a healthy club, where I buy my cleaning products from, and of course it's being, but I sell those products as well. You know what I mean?
You're in a frozen zone, Adrienne.
Okay, wood.
Yes, Daphne.
Yeah. I remember you mentioned you're gonna have to give some tablet. So I think it's a good thing. So when you meet for someone, so you have information, so like a tablet, it's much better to do the like time sheet to fill out the form, so and at the same time to send it to you.
I agree. I want you all to understand something. There are a lot of things that I don't have any control over them. The tablets being the biggest thing that I don't have control over. And Marge, like Marge said, if the people in New York are not able to figure out a program, then she wants to hire somebody who's an expert to come in and do it. And this whole thing, because let's put it this way. I agree with you 100%. Go ahead, Daphne.
For example, so you meet something like you meet someone on the supermarket. So quickly you talk about COVID. So if you have the tablet, you put it on it quickly, some information. That's why the best way to do the job.
I agree 100%, but because our headquarters are in New York, because Marge is on the research team, I always say I'm in the trenches. That's my job. My job is to be the field coordinator. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I'm following up. Okay? I don't have the power to do a lot of things, but mention that to Dora tomorrow. She's somebody that is in administration, and maybe it might help happen faster.
I understand.
I mean, there's so many things.
Okay.
And I've had to rely. We lost Adrienne. I knew we lost somebody.
Ruth, can I interrupt for a second? I had to click on the other line, and I'm so glad I did. It said private, but I'm so glad I clicked it on, because it was the wonderful woman, Wilda from City Hall, saying that she's about to email me over my permit for us to walk and for my entertainment permit. Yay. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So now this is what I'm saying. Like, even if we want to do our own table setup or something like that, I have the go-to now to be able to apply for that permit, so we can have entertainment, set up a table, or whatever we can do to promote the vaccine.
Right.
So yes. So she just said she's going to email me over both the license for the permit and the entertainment license. So yes, right. I'm good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Made my
great.
day.
And I think that, I think every single one of you has done an amazing job of being very creative in how you are doing your job.
Yes.
And I just think that I would like to see a little bit more sharing.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing that since you said that. I've tried to put everybody in the loop. I have to make sure I get Darlene's email. So, Darlene, if you could send me your email, that would be great. That would be absolutely great, and that way I can make sure I share and send you everything too as well.
Okay.
That would be wonderful.
When I send out emails, I am addressing
Be
it
absolutely great.
to. You will have Darlene's email because I send it a group, not all the time, but in
I should have a
case,
call tomorrow.
excuse me, just in case you want to contact.
But I'm gonna get a car. I'm gonna get a car from Mercedes.
So-
Mercedes-Benz. I'm just gonna buy me a car. I need a car. So I'm gonna put $2,000 down, and I'm gonna get. I got the.
Okay. What I think we should do now, if you have any more questions, please write them down, record them on your phone, whatever you have to do, so that we can really put everything out on the table tomorrow that we can. Okay, because I think collectively we're dynamic. I'm not dynamic, but you're dynamic.
Oh, Ruth, please. You are so dynamic. You just don't know.
No, I don't really, but
yes, you are.
My point
we all
is,
are. We all are. We are all women warriors, and we do this together.
No, and I realize that. I just like to be in the background.
But you're the one that we call upon for when we need anything or help guide us in the right way. So you are dynamic. I'm sorry I had to butt in, but I heard you say that, and no, you are dynamic because you're my go-to person.
Well, thank you. And you're all my go-to persons as well. And that's why I said, Gwen, this strength that you have of knowing what's up and coming, and sharing it with everybody. Darlene shared with Daphne, okay? And Adrian now shared, a few things with us.
Share one another.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Supposed to do, we're a team, we're a unit.
Right, we are one unit.
Right. But you know what? I need to really jump off because I got to get ready to get on to 1190. I got to do. We have the statewide call every Thursday with 1199.
And Gwen, I hope you feel better. I hear you. I hope you feel better with
thank you,
your health issue.
Thank you, Darlene. I appreciate it. Thank you. How's your family?
Good. Thank you.
Good. Okay. All right, you guys. Daphne, we'll touch base. We lost Adrian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Daphne, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll call you later. Anyways, are you going to be on the meeting later with the Poor People's Campaign?
Later, yeah.
So you guys, Daphne is now a part of the Poor People's Campaign.
That's great.
Okay.
So, okay, ladies, I got to go. Daphne, I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you tomorrow.
See you.
Okay.
All right.
See you.
Yep.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you think of anything else, text me, whatever you have to do.
Yes.
I'm not going to keep you any longer today. Daphne, you just froze up.
Send me again the full address, please.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'll send it to you now. Okay. On your phone.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye.
Bye. Have a good night.